Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Alex, and right now I'm going to do something that I think there's a lot of demand for, and that's go through the information that I continue to call out in the Velocity chat room, which is the mid-halt information that has proven just absolutely indispensable for someone like me, but could definitely help everybody. Whether or not you're somebody who focuses on halts like I do, I feel like this information is just an absolute must-have. So before I start this video today, I want to mention a few things. First and foremost is that I couldn't find reliable information, like a really good trustworthy source as to what it is I'm seeing here. So I have to point out that a lot of what I'm about to say has been figured out by me personally and has not been verified against official sources. And even though I'm varying degrees of very confident of what each one of these pieces of information means, it is worth a mention that this is, based on logical deduction more than research. Another thing I'd like to mention going into this is that this information has not always been available to me. The first time that I've seen this is in this exact type of simulator, which is DASTrader. And the price that I pay for this simulator is 100 USD per month. And I think a really interesting fact here is that I did not have this information when I was trading my real money account with SureTrader. And nor did I remember seeing it in my first live account. And so I think it's kind of an interesting note that I get this on a simulator, and yet on a live account where I'm paying commissions and giving, hundreds of dollars a month, I don't actually get this information. And given all the confusion that I've seen in the chat room and in other areas in Discord, I feel like a lot of people don't have access to this information. So my advice to those people, especially if you trade like me and you're really reliant on halt resumption plays or anything to do with halts, I would suggest to just spend $100 a month and get a DASTrader simulator and just have a level 2 or a bunch of level 2s open and be able to track the information that way by using a secondary platform. Now, this would only really be all that viable with multiple monitor setup, which I do not have. So this for me going forward is certainly going to be complicated. But I won't get into that now. We'll talk first about the information, and then I'll play a little bit of this video so you can see an example of the kinds of reads that I can get by having this information. So the information in question here is right above the level 2 quotes, just below trading paused. It's this line right here. I'll put a box around that in the editing. And we're going to work backwards and talk about some of the numbers that we're seeing here. Now, the first one on the right-hand side is obviously the price. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. This is the actual current price of a stock. And just like I mentioned in my simulator recap from day number 12, this is a reflection, depending on whether the halt is going up or down. This will give you either the bid price or the ask price. So check out the recap from day number 12 if you want a more substantial breakdown about the price. Now, the middle number here, in this case showing 1244, this is one that I'm on the fence about. I believe it's the total number of shares that have been used in orders during the halt. However, I've seen evidence that it might not be that, and so I'm kind of going to leave this one alone for now and move on to the next piece of information, which is the imbalance. Now, the imbalance is right here on the left-hand side, and you can see that in this case right now, it's showing B plus 328. Now, for this one, I have an extremely high level of confidence that this number represents the difference between buy orders and sell orders at a given price level. So on that left-hand side on the imbalance section, you will see one of three different things. You'll either see a B plus, an N plus, or an S plus. The B stands for buy, the N stands for either none or neutral, and the S stands for sell. That much I'm sure of. Now, the last thing I'm going to say about this information is very speculative. I'm very sure about the price, and I'm very sure about the imbalance. But as I said, the middle, I've had some conflicting evidence that hasn't produced a very clear picture, and my research on the matter has been limited. So my speculation at this point is that this imbalance is a reflection of the total number of shares in the middle. That is, out of these 1,244 shares, there are 328 more on the buy side than on the sell side. And so as I play this video, you're going to see all of these numbers change. As this price level goes up or down, the imbalance will change at that price level, as will the total volume. So I'm going to play the video now, and we'll see what we can find out by watching this one. And I haven't watched this since I recorded it, so I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen in this. So as we can see right now, the imbalance is growing, which means to me that there is a large buyer imbalance. However, all of a sudden, we drop down to 60, and now we're down to 56. And so you can see the most important piece of information that I look at is the price. What's happening with the price? Because this allows you, or allows me anyway, to be able to create sort of a chart in your head as to what's happening during the halt. And as we all know, charts are where the patterns take place. And so by being able to be aware of the patterns, you can kind of get a better feel for what's going to happen coming out of the halt. And as you'll see, like right now, we keep dropping down, and typically when the price drops down, it results in a buyer imbalance. And if it goes up, it results in a seller imbalance. So when you get either one of those trends broken, for instance, if the price is gapping up and it's coming with a buyer imbalance, that typically means that the resumption is going to be incredibly strong. And if the imbalance drops towards the sell side when the price is moving down, that typically means that it's going to be a huge fade that's coming out of the halt. And so right now what we've just seen is the price has gone all the way up to 62 and yet has now come back down to 56. Now this is a downward halt, so it's not super unusual for the price to gap down on a downward halt. But what we'd be looking for here is an area where the buyer imbalance was maybe a little bit heavier. And so far, I haven't seen in this video so far that the price has gone below 56. So what that would tell me is that there are buyers below 56, because if there weren't, the price would have fallen below 56 during this halt. Now I've fast forward to the end of the video just before resumption. We're less than a second away from resumption now, and we can see that the price is showing $60.01 with a imbalance of 862 shares and volume of 9,498 shares. So using this information, I can pause at the resumption and we can decipher based on the time in sales whether or not these conclusions are correct. And so what I've done here is paused in the first few moments of the resumption, and what you will see is that indeed there were 9,498 shares transacted at $60.01 at exactly the moment of resumption. And following that, the rest is just standard tape reading. But basically, this time in sales has certified at least the two pieces of information that I'm very confident about. Now, I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100% sure as to what this middle number really means. There's some conflicting information, so I'll continue studying this, and hopefully I'll have some information to give at a later time. But for now, what I will say to close is that this information has led me to be able to know whether I'm going to be adding or selling coming out of a halt. If it's going to be a halt that's going to crash, I will be able to know in advance whether or not I'm buying or selling. And, I see people a lot of the time, and I used to be one of them. There's nothing to be ashamed of if you're one of them. But I see people considering the level 2 information to be valid, which it is absolutely not. This information in this square here that you're normally used to reading, the quotes, those are not valid during a halt, and I can't stress this enough. I see traders of really substantial experience not knowing this, and this really bothers me, and it's part of the reason I'm making this video now, to show you that the information that you get on the quotes is not accurate. You have to have this extra piece of information. How exactly do you get it with your particular broker? I can't answer that. I'm sorry. But in this case, I do know that based on experience and based on testing, that there are at least two pieces of information in here that are absolutely valid, and that's the price and the imbalance. And I can't tell you how much this has helped me in being able to read the strength or weakness of a resumption. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video, guys. So I'm really hoping that this has been helpful in some way or another, and I hope that maybe for those of you who are involved, and especially those of you who frequent the Velocity chat room, which is what I use, If you ever need information, if you're involved in a halted stock and you want information, don't be shy. My name that I use in the chat room is Casper, and just ask me, hey Casper, man, what's the situation with this stock, and I'll be happy to. There are going to be certain times where I'm going to be involved in the stock, and if I'm in a trade, I'm sorry, but you come second to my plans. But if I'm not in the trade, I'd be more than happy to help anybody who's involved in a halted stock with this information. So don't be shy. And until next time, guys, this is going to be Alex saying happy trading.